Hello and welcome to Samantha Sutherland TV. I'm your host Samantha Sutherland and I'm so excited that you've joined us for this episode. Now, I understand that there's going to be some of you out there that are interested in starting your own businesses, but yet there's something blocking you and you need to shift that. So, I am so pleased to introduce to you a dear friend of mine. His name is Elliot Kay, and I've popped over to his home in London to shoot this episode for you. Elliot is known as a peak performance coach, and he is really a tough guy. And you're going to find that out in this interview today. Hello, Elliot.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me on this episode of your TV show.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd like people to get to know you a bit better. Obviously, I already know you, but I'd like you to talk about how you actually started your business. So what is your business startup story?
Okay. So, back in 1900s when my fathers and mothers... No, I'm only joking. Okay, so what happened was I don't have a normal route, and I don't know if anyone does. At the age of 21, I decided I wanted to be a professional dancer. And against all odds, I pursued that. I was a dancer. I got a scholarship for a couple of years, and I toured around the world a little bit. Accumulated over 1,000 hours on stage as a performer, which was great. Then the day came and I got that injury, which changed my life forever. I had a disc hernia, which means your vertebrae kind of rub against each other, and I still have it. Oh. So I had to pursue a different career, so I went into presenting. I did a little bit of presenting, and I did a little bit of PR for a modelling agency. I used to teach models how to walk. That was always fun. It was like, ooh, yeah, you know, kick your bum, that was me. And then I moved actually into corporate training, funny enough. So I started in a call centre on the phones, and they really liked my bubbly personality. And they're like, okay, can you show us how to do that with loads of other people? And I did that. Moved into corporate training. And then I ended up working with some really big brand names. Sky Television, Talk here in the UK, they're big. You know, Pizza Hut, KFC, and I designed all their customer service training. And what happened was I became really rather popular and became very much in demand. And in the meantime, I popped over to see someone and visited a friend. And it was at her house that she said something that really kind of put me in the direction I'm in right now. And I was sitting there, and her housemate was having a real kind of like drama, you know, like women love a little bit of drama, and she was like, you know, woo, and all this going on, and you know, nothing against that. And then so I sat her down. We just had this chat, and I broke it down for her. And my friend then turned around to me and said, "Have you ever thought about becoming a coach?" And guess what my reaction was?
No.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God. All these coaches, all they want is this and all they want is that, and it's all about the money. And that was my reaction. How many of you out there have always thought that about a coach? Let's be honest.
But you see, the thing is, you were actually coaching, but you didn't realise it.
Exactly, I didn't. Plus I had this perception that was non-existent based on something that I didn't even know. Because I'd never met a coach before. In terms of, you know, I hate this word, life coach, you know, or any type of coach. So then when I got home, I started to Google coaching, and I actually was like, okay. And as I was in training at the time, I saw you learn psychology, you learn rapport, you learn about physiology, you learn so much about human behavior, counseling. I was like, okay, if nothing else, this will make me a better trainer. So I bought a course and I started to train as a coach, and part of my training was to work with people. And it was one lady that said something to me that completely changed my life. And she said to me, she said, you know, through working with you, I had to work with 15 people to get qualified. She said, through working with you, I learned that I have to be happy to lose weight and not lose weight to be happy. And that was my moment. That was my moment where it just changed. I remember standing in my room, I got goosebumps. I was living in Acton, you know, in London, and I was like, wow, this is what I have to do. And then I decided to pursue coaching as a business, as a career, as a life, because I'd reconnected with my purpose and what I truly wanted to do in life. And that's really my startup story. So then I spoke to where I was working at the time, and I became a subcontractor for them. So I became the the department mentor for Talk Talk. And actually we took their retention from like 30% to 70%, which was great. And I started to develop myself as a coach, and we started to develop as a brand. And that's where the Coach with a Hat comes from, which is the brand I'm actually known for. More people know me as the Coach with a Hat than they actually know my name. Isn't that funny that more people know me as the dude, as the guy, as the Coach with a Hat? And it's like, do you know my name? Like, no. But I know you're the Coach with a Hat. But that's okay, I'm happy with that, because we set the brand out to do that, And that's a startup story in essence. I mean, there's like anything, there's been lots of challenge on the way.
Well, that's fantastic, because what we're looking at here is how somebody had actually been injured and a career that they were going for with passion had come to an end. And because of that injury, he's actually been led on to doing something else. And sometimes in life you find that, well, I like to say everything happens for a reason, because something really terrible could happen, and if you focus too hard on that, then you're maybe going to miss another opportunity. So I can give you an excellent example of looking at something which is perceived to be awful, but yet turning it around in your favour, and that is me getting the sack on my birthday. Yes, you're going to keep hearing about that.
She's clearly let it go. She clearly let it go.
I'm only telling you guys because I don't know if there's anything, I tell my story and people really, they're just like, oh my gosh, how could you just, that happened to you on your birthday? How could you just happily then go along and set up your business? Because you don't need to focus on the immediate negative thing. You can actually look for the opportunity. And with Elliot's story here, we're finding that a career that he was from his heart, something that he really passionately wanted to succeed in, came to an end. However, if that didn't happen, we wouldn't be right here, right now with Elliot, and we wouldn't have so many people that would have been helped by him. Okay? So, I'm really pleased that happened, and I hope that you feel a bit better soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just adding to what you're saying, sometimes we have to get so close to it. There's a couple of notions. We have to get so close to our dream to realise we don't want it, or what I realised through all the work I've done is actually it was only part of the journey. But when I was in it, I felt it was the journey. So being a dancer, being out there against all odds, being a very heterosexual guy in a very sort of interesting world, I was up against it a lot. And really one of my things was always to change the image of things. I've always been in that notion. And I'm carrying that on with coaching as well. But it's actually very much, it formed part of the journey. And now I look back and go, so actually I was never truly meant to be a dancer in that respect, although it serves me. A lot of my disciplines still come from dancing.
Fantastic. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and after the break we're going to be looking at Elliot's challenges, the struggles that he went through. We're going to be revealing all of those after the break. See you soon. Welcome back. Okay, we're now going to find out a lot more about Elliot, because what we're going to do, we're going to look at the struggles that he had overcome. Being a peak performance coach, he's dealt with a lot of struggles himself personally, and also helps other people through their problems to success. So let's get into it. Let's talk about some of these struggles that you've been through, Elliot. Whatever you'd like to share.
Okay, so there's been several, and I think, ever since I can remember myself as a young kid, I feel that I grew up in a very challenging environment, and I know by no any means am I the only one. I grew up with a dad that was an alcoholic, and I grew up with a mum who worked all the time. So pretty much there was very little relationship in the family, and also my brother and I, we didn't get on, so I was very much left to my own devices a lot of time. And I felt very much at a young age that I was very isolated, I was very alone, and at a very young age I decided I couldn't really trust anyone. So imagine, giving yourself that patterning, and every day going, oh, it's just me against the world. I just wonder how many of you can relate to that.
I know there's a lot of people that can relate to this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really carried that on. So I was always a little bit rebellious. You know, I also grew up in a conflicted country. I grew up in Israel, where it's dominated by war and death and murder. And I grew up in a time where divorce wasn't cool and it was a rare thing. So my parents got divorced, and everybody, I still remember the day I told people, and then the next day everybody in school was looking at me like I was a leper, like, oh my God, are you okay? I heard your parents are divorced. And really, as a young kid and taking that on, you're like, oh my God, what is this? You know? And of course we compare ourselves. You know, everyone else seems normal. Why aren't I normal? And I kind of took that with me, and then, you know, took that through my years. I turned into, you know, I was a rocker, and I was very rebellious, leather jacket, long hair, you know, because I didn't feel I related to people. Once I found dancing, you know, at the age of 21, that kind of gave me a release. It gave me somewhere where I could be present, be with myself. Once again, up against it, 21, never danced against the younger people. Managed to overcome the adversity with that, and also had to work all night in order to pay for things until I got the scholarship. Okay,
so let's just track back a little bit. Now, your childhood being slightly rocky, you've said. How did you overcome that in your mind? Because this is the mind, you know, is a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
You can either use your mind to your own benefit, or you could allow your mind to destruct, well, pull you down and, you know, sort of torture you. So I'd like to know, because there's a few people out here listening to this and watching this show that may have gone through similar circumstances but have not yet actually conquered their childhood past, which are the formative years after all. So
yeah, absolutely.
Would you like to share with us how you overcame that?
Yeah, I'm sure you're aware of this. You can be constructive, destructive, or neutral. Now, I went for years of being destructive. I was in knife fights. I've got, you know, a nice little scar here, you know, just there.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was very rebellious. You know, fights, hanging out in parks, gangs. Not gangs. I wasn't like part of it, but very much there was us when we used to hang out. So I did the destructive thing, and then, you know, when I hit 16, it was interesting because my mum moved me from where we were living to a much quieter area. So I connected with my mum again. We started to have a relationship. But then I knew I had to let go of this. I knew I can't be angry. And I actually started to go to Alateen Anonymous, which is for teenagers of alcoholic parents. And I used to go there, and I found a community that was welcoming to what I grew up with. And so suddenly it was okay to have a dad who was an alcoholic. It was okay to be messed up. It was okay. My past was okay. And that kind of started me in the releasing sense. So I guess I saw coaching, but never thought of it as a coach. And I sought guidance, and I understood the importance. I mean, when I was young, my parents did take me to a lot of psychologists and counsellors. And I used to run away because I couldn't relate. I mean, I used to give them really dumb answers on purpose. I'm sure you also, for those who've seen Good Will Hunting at the beginning when he's so resistant. I was a bit like that, and that was rude. And that's what I did. And that's how I released my stuff, was actually quite destructively. But once I started to go to Alateen and realised that it's okay to be where I was and where I am, that it's not the world's fault, nor is it mine, it just is what it is. That's when I started to tap into my creative side a lot more.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Pleasure.
All right, so moving on just slightly to your dancing. So you, again, had some challenges to overcome there. And I'd like, if you don't mind, to share how you overcame those situations.
Okay, so there's always a solution. There really is. And when you're in a heart space and truly passionate about something, you find a way. Now, against what I'd done 2 years at university already, I had no money, my family didn't have any money, but I decided I wanted to be a dancer. I knew there and then, inspired by my idol, that I wanted to be a dancer. And I auditioned for 2 schools and I got into one of them. I got into both, but one of them was the school to go to. And once again, I was being told by my dad, well, I don't have any money, I can't support you. And my mum was like, look, I can't support you, I don't have any money. I was like, I don't care. So I went and got a job in a pub, and I worked every night to pay my rent. And then on weekends I had another job to pay for other stuff like food, bills and everything. And that's what kept me going. It was just and I used to wake up every morning early, work out and go to the gym, and then go and train for all day and then go to the pub, because to me it was about my passion and my vision of being a dancer, and everything else was irrelevant. So any challenge that was thrown my way, I just embraced it. So, you know, because even if you think of injuries is part of the process. Yeah? And when you're passionate about something, then you just deal with it and you do what needs to happen and you keep going. But also I was against younger guys, I was against experienced dancers, you know, I was against a lot, even in the audition. But it didn't matter, and that's how I dealt with it. It was about the bigger picture. It was about me being a dancer. It was about me succeeding versus failing. And everything else really didn't matter. Whatever was thrown at me in those years, yes, of course, I had the emotional side to it, but I just kept going because I felt also I had so much to prove to myself and to people around me. And just very quickly, what I did learn also throughout that is a lot of times I did things not to be. So it's like, I can't be like my dad, I can't be like my dad, I can't be like my dad. And I know that inspires a lot of people to a certain extent, but that's really not the right energy to be coming from. You want to be coming for an energy that you're doing things for you, and also the mindset, because if you're still focusing on not being, you're not being present. So it got me, and it kept me going, but then I realized after a few years that that was not a good energy to be driven from, because the dip is big then.
Okay, so what would you say was your biggest struggle of your career so far?
As a dancer? Well,
as
just
your
generally?
Career, generally.
Okay, so if we jump a few years ahead, and you know, I've told you up until the leading, my biggest struggle was last year when I completely, you know, because I was a coach and I was fairly successful and I had clients, and then what I didn't have a lot of place is structure and a real systemization and a funnel and all the basic stuff that most businesses have. So when I flew out in 2010 to Australia, or was it 2011? Maybe it's 2000. It was the turn of 2010 to 2011.
Okay.
Right? So it's January last year. And one by one, I lost all my clients. I didn't lose them. I mean, they flew. They were like, I'm ready. I'm done. You know, thank you so much. I'm ready to fly, which as a coach is what you want. Except what I hadn't done is look to replace them. I did what a lot of people do, and I got comfortable. Yeah, it's cool. I'll just have my clients. I'll have a cash flow. And then the universe went, I think I need to teach you a lesson. No clients. So it's like within 3 weeks of each other, bang, 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 and my monetary's going down, down, down. I'm thinking it's okay because I was subcontracting to another company. Fell into dispute with them. They refused to pay me. They went bust. I had zero money and I had nothing. I came back from Australia with no money, no savings, zero.
Wow.
Nothing. I lost my girlfriend at the time as well. I went back to that little kid that felt isolated, that was angry with the world, was angry with the universe. Although what's interesting is throughout that, when I was in Australia, I'd reconnected truly with my purpose. And that was interesting. So when I got back, once again, the challenge that I faced was no money, no job, how am I going to pay my rent? The basic stuff, you know. Am I a failure? And I actually don't believe in failure, but it came up. You know, am I failing here? Do I go back to work, to full-time work? You know, what do I do? Is what I was facing.
Wow. Thank you very much for sharing that, because there are going to be some of you out there that go through periods like this. So you have your business up and running, it's doing well, and then all of a sudden you may lose 1 or 2 clients. It's wonderful that you've actually humbly shared that story, because you do need to keep your eye on the ball, okay? And it could be that sometimes situations change because you're going to be moving into a bigger area or arena. So that was a year ago?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. It's about this time last year I was facing that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And obviously everything's okay now, because I'm with you.
Of course. You know, it's a real building process. It took time. It takes time. You know, am I at the level I'd like to be? No, but that's what keeps me going. Am I at a much better level? Yes. You know, have I come miles and miles ahead? Yes. And that's because I had to go inside and I had to look at how I was showing up in the world. I had to look at where I was disempowered and where I was empowered. Because wherever you're disempowered, someone will overtake that. So I had to look at what am I bringing to the world, and really truly connect with my purpose in life. Now, a lot of people dismiss purpose a bit fluffy, but I started to work with an out-and-out strategist last year. Great guy, and now he's a very good friend of mine. And we sat down, and the first question he asked me, this is a guy that has been a venture capitalist, has been an angel investor, has worked with over 120 companies. Like, he knows business inside out. He's brilliant. And he didn't say, okay, what's your strategic financial forecast? He didn't do that. He sat down and goes, what's your purpose? What's your purpose to the business? And I had a purpose, so that was good. And he said, Elliot, you're messing up my whole model here, but you know, and that's the thing. So when I lay there, and I remember this night after night, I was thinking, and I went into question, so it wasn't a case of, oh my God, I'm so this. I went, where can I find it? Where can this come from? I didn't have the answers. But I got every day going, okay, got to serve my purpose, got to serve my purpose, got to serve my purpose. And when I stopped making it about me, and I made it about something bigger than me, then I had more energy to get out of bed. Was there still challenge there? Yes. Look, was there still emotion there? Of course. But it kept me going. And it made me completely look at my business from a different angle. We went into product creation. We suddenly realized the value of stage time. Everything, even though I knew stage time, I'd been a speaker and that, but even more, you know, suddenly I had to show up in a different way. Down to how I dressed. It's like, you know, I looked at every single angle of me as a coach, as a person, as a human being, and I had to look at the hard facts.
Well done, you. And it does take a lot of guts, I'd say, for somebody to do that, because if you ignore it to your peril, sometimes it is good to take a reality check.
It's, yeah, and really vital, but we still have to take reality checks.
Continuously throughout your whole life. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side we're going to be looking at Elliot's successes.
Yay!
Welcome back, and we've now got Elliot in his original Coach with the hat. Do you like it?
I love this hat. Yeah, it's the original one. It's the first hat I bought that actually developed into the Coach with the hat. How exciting.
It is indeed. So what I'd like to actually go over right now, Elliot, if you wouldn't mind, for our audience, is to tell us some of your success stories.
Absolutely. So is it okay if I focus on some of my clients rather than me?
Of course, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so one of the success stories I've had is I worked with a cyclist who had never competed professionally, and he did the race around Ireland, and he did complete 850 miles, having never really cycled before.
Wow.
He pulled out at the end due to an injury, but that's one thing that I can really take pride in. He's gone back. Last year, he's going back this year, but this year I'll probably be joining him again, and this time he will finish the race. But that's a great achievement. One of my other clients, when she came to see me, she just been made redundant. She was a mess. She was everywhere. She was an ex-tax inspector, but not anymore. And now she's launched her business. Not only has she launched her business, she's been given 6 new contracts. She's expanded. She's hired an employee. And now she's flying with colours, and she's actually moving on to my strategist, which is great. Some other success stories. This other lady came to see me, and she had a concept. And since we've worked together the last few sessions, she's now had interest from Comic Relief. She's had interest from celebs to grow. She teaches maths through clowning. And she's just exploding onto the scene. So her business has skyrocketed. She now suddenly has a managing director, something she never had before. They're designing training manuals so they can train other clowns to do what she does. That's another success story. One of my other clients, amazing, the one that said that, you know, I need to be happy to lose weight. She lost 5 stone.
Wow.
5 stones for
How long
working.
did it take her to do that?
You know what, it's a very good question, but I didn't work with her for more than 3 months. So that was a great achievement. Another one of my clients, she's phenomenal. She's my longest serving client actually. She's been with me for a year now, and I always work with people on 6-session rotations. And now she's found her niche within helping investors in properties deal with their back end, so PA services and stuff like that. And she's now being in line for 3-4 big major contracts. But those are business results. Those, you know, the other successes, of course, is in the respect that every single client I work with is grounded. They're going for it. They've let go of any guilt and a lot of the pain they've attached. They're not afraid of getting it wrong anymore. They embrace getting it wrong, and they've lost a lot of the anxiety that they came to see me with. So in balance, it just gives me great pleasure to see my clients do that. That's only a handful of success stories.
Really, part of your mentoring, or the beginning of your mentoring, is actually a cleaning and cleansing process, I would say.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Would you say that?
yeah, absolutely. The first few sessions, it's normally values or goal setting, but what I do differently is I will always assess where they are, and there's always going to be some emotional blockages, and we do the emotional plumbing, and I take them through some very powerful tools and techniques and help them release it. And actually, you know, you can do this at home. It's very much whatever your biggest pain is serving you, it's working for you, is really looking how, and look at almost like what are the benefits of having what's happened to you, what's good about it, because you know what's bad about it because you're living it, but what's good about it. And I really get to people to turn it and actually see that that's serving them, that's helped them, it's got them to where they got, and it's getting them to where they're going.
Well, that's very interesting. So for the audience, could you give them that task to do?
Yes, in fact, that is your home play. After this, I'd like you to go back to that place, whatever that is for you, that pain, that bad experience, that bad breakup, the losing of your business, the redundancy. And I really want you to think of at least 100 benefits why it's good for you. Because it is. And I know what you're going to have coming up right now is your emotional resistance. How can it be good for me? Oh my God, and a lot of that stuff. That's okay. Embrace that, but figure out, go beyond that, and then work on how it can serve you. So what can I use from this to do more with and do better and move forward? Because our biggest blockages is the feeling we've got it wrong, the feeling we've messed up, you know, the guilt around that.
Well, that leads us very nicely onto some questions that we have. Okay, so we're now going to go into the Q&A section with Elliot K. And what we've done, I've put out onto the social media that I'd like some people to ask questions of my guest here today. And I've selected Yvonne Lynch to actually have as the person featured in this episode who is going to get her questions answered by Elliot K. So,
hi, Yvonne.
Okay, so we're going into the first question, which is, if you previously had jobs which did not work out for any reason, and you now decide that you would like to start your business, how could you be sure that you have the skills and what it takes to succeed? That's a big question. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you, Yvonne. So number one, here's the thing. There's a reason why things didn't work out. However, you gained knowledge and you did gain skills. Another thing I do, especially when I work with entrepreneurs and business people, is I get them to list out all their jobs. So Yvonne, this is your job. List out all the jobs you've done, all the skills you've gained. And I don't care if it's cleaning tables. You would learn something. You know, what are the skills you gained from the jobs that didn't work out because you did get skills, and then see how they feed into what you want to do as a business. Because you got something from everything. And I don't mean that in a fluffy way. I've cleaned tables. I've worked at Burger King's. You know, I've done stuff like that. I've served, I've been a waiter, I've been a barman. From every single one, I've gained some skills, even if that's rapport. Even if it's knowing that you've got enough humbleness in you to do the stuff like cleaning tables, but you've gained a skill. And I want you to tap into that, because that's what you can take into building your business. So that's your home play. Again, more home play.
Okay, so what would the best advice be for somebody that needs motivation to start their own business? Because this is the next question that Yvonne's put forward. And I can see where you're going here with this, Yvonne. It's a good question.
Very good question. Here's the thing about motivation. We have two concepts, and I talk about this in my book, It's Your Right to Be Wrong. And I talk about the Hollywood concept of motivation and true motivation. Now, some of us are like, yeah, and the fist pumps, and I'm going to get motivated, I'm going to set up a business, and it's going to be brilliant, I'm going to be a millionaire, it's going to give me the freedom I want. And that's the Hollywood, that's the delusion side of it. And why do I talk about that in that respect? The fact that you're asking, and I don't know if you're asking for a friend, so this isn't personal, needing motivation, it means that right now your concept isn't in line with your values and purpose. Because if you are truly building your business around your values, then you don't need motivation. You are motivated because you're serving your high values. Now, this is a concept that, I don't know how much time we have to go into it, but in any way, what are your high values? Where do you spend your time? Where do you spend your energy? Where do you always have money, right? And what do you consistently think about and talk about, both externally and internally? So that's your values, just very quickly. However, if someone needs to be motivated, then what they're targeting their business at won't work. Because as soon as challenge comes through, you're going to get knocked off your seat. So find out what your core values are as a person and build your business around that, because you don't need motivation. Do you need to be motivated to get out of bed?
No.
There you go. There's your answer.
If you look at your passions, really, I know I've said this many times about turning your passions into profits, but if you do follow that, whatever you're passionate about is going to be what drives you to do the things that you need to do. And you will work so hard that you don't even realise. You'll be like, oh my gosh, I've just done a 10-hour day, and you think you've only been working for 3 hours. So that's the difference between doing maybe a job that you don't like and working for yourself in the area of your passion. All right, so thank you very much for answering that. And Yvonne then goes on to ask, how would you know the time is right to start a business?
How do you know the time is right? Now, the notion that there's a right or wrong time is an interesting concept. Donald Trump's mantra is, I'm always at the right place at the right time. And it's worked for him. I say that as well. Every morning I do my stuff I go through every morning. I'm always at the right place at the right time. You know in your guts, and in your heart that it's the right time. Waiting for the market, waiting for that special break to meet that special person is also Hollywood. It's an illusion that one day someone's going to knock on your door and go, hey, I've got this, it's time. No, you make the time, make it the right time. Just make sure that mentally you're prepared, that you're ready to deal with the challenge. Because reward we're all very ready for, but you're ready to deal with the challenge. The moment you can stand there and go, I believe wholeheartedly in this concept, in this idea, and in this business, and I'm ready to embrace whatever comes my way, that's the time to do it. But don't wait for that. Make it happen. Sounds like a wedding, doesn't it? I embrace whatever comes my way, through death and this and that. It sounds a bit like getting married, doesn't it?
It depends what kind of wedding you're talking about, really.
Well, you're pretty much
Make
married.
it happen sound like a gunshot wedding to me.
You will marry me. No, but it's about kind of getting yourself to that place, because you can be miserable and make someone else wealthy, or you can live your passion, okay, and you might not see the money straight away, but you'll be a lot happier making your own money through actually living with your passion. But that doesn't mean you leave out strategy and what works for business. Don't leave out the element side just because you're following your passion.
Okay, now I'd like to add a little something to this as well, and really just to back up what Elliot's already said. I agree wholeheartedly with what he's just said. But there's also one other thing which I picked up from this question, which is probably not even what's gone in your mind, but I think for people watching this show, at this current time of shooting, we are in a recession, and have been for some years, and probably will be for another couple of years or so. It depends. How many of you are going to go out there and start a business and start employing people? It's up to us entrepreneurs really to shift this country out of the recession that we're in. Now, I just want to say that there's evidence out there that some of the most successful companies in the world started in perceived recessions, all right? So don't think to yourself, oh, I have to wait for the market to improve and ratata. No, you can actually start your business in a recession, because think about it. If somebody's going to dip into their pocket and buy your product or your service in a recession, that tells you you have something very strong, because in perceived recessions, there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to tighten their belt. Now, if they're going to take money out of their pocket and pay, you're going to be doing very well in good and bad times, okay? So I just thought I'd add that in there, Elliot.
Absolutely. Most millionaires are born in recessions.
Yeah.
And, you know, recession is a perception, it's a mindset, it all depends. Now, just adding to what Samantha was saying there, it's like, I always ask everybody, it's like, what are you going to do about it? Might be a bit controversial. I don't believe that camping out inside of anywhere is a solution. I get we have a right to protest, and I get we have a right to express ourselves, absolutely. But by doing so, are you being part of the problem, or are you being part of the solution? So really ask yourself, what are you willing to do to be part of the solution? Actually, I've got a lot busier since the recession. The last 6 months have been explosive for me. So it's a myth that you can't do stuff in recessions. Just backing up your point there.
Yeah, that's so true. All right. So thank you, Yvonne, for that question. And we've got one more question from Yvonne. And she asks, what steps could you take to prepare yourself mentally? And this is in relation to starting a business, I assume. So
absolutely. You know, there's so many schoolings around this, so I can only give you mine. Number one, I would always say, is get yourself a brilliant coach, especially one that wears a hat. Number two.
Even I didn't see that one coming.
Number two, do as much research in the area that you want to go into. I can continuously do that. Number three is go to the areas where the people that hang out in that industry are. Get talking to people who are in the mix. One of my clients, he's 23, brilliant young entrepreneur. He's got a brilliant business concept. Right now I'm taking him to the stage where I'm making sure he's meeting people who are active in that industry, so he can really truly A, understand the mindset, but B, really get with the practical challenges that go with running a business in that industry. So make sure you're mixing and meeting people in that area. And then be sure to have some form of a 6-month to 12-month strategy, depending on the industry. You know, if you're in a service industry, you'll look at 3, 6, 12, 3 years, 5 years. You know, if you're in IT industry, you're probably not looking for more than 12 months, because if you're social media, you're looking at 3 months. But really understand the nature of what you're doing and get into your consumer's mindset. Too many people launch businesses that might not have a demand. Of course, what happens is they fall flat on their face. So get into your consumer. Who is your customer? I know my customer is someone who's frustrated with their business, who is blocked emotionally, but has experience or a concept, and they need to take it to the next level. I can sit there and have coffee with someone and know if I want to work with them or not, because I know if they're my customer or not, and I'll know where they're going to end up throughout the sessions. Get there, research, meet, greet, learn, and then launch. But the key thing is take action. You've got to go for it. Don't be stuck in the research. Don't be stuck in the networking stage. At some point, put a date, launch, go for it. Learn the lessons. You're going to learn plenty of lessons as you go along. So make sure you put yourself out there as well.
Yeah, that's fabulous advice, and it is a steep learning curve. And I'd also like to add, just to back up what Elliot's saying here, is that the majority of entrepreneurs out there, what we tend to do is take a big bite of something and then we try and work out how to chew it. So don't think to yourself, I'm so worried I'm going to make a mistake, or I'm not doing it in the right way. I don't think any of us really do approach our projects in the right way, so to speak. We just work our way through. But obviously there's a lot of research that goes, you know, and planning. We do actually make calculated risks, so to speak. But, you know, like Elliot's saying, just get started. Just get started. It's really exciting. We want you to be on this side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tell people, you know, too many people protect their business idea and stuff. I get there's certain stuff you need to keep back, okay, especially if it's very new and innovative, or it's something that people can steal. However, if you're in that energy of protection, then remember, whatever wall you build, you've got to look over. So do engage people, There's ways around that. Tell people that you trust, or look for those who you know aren't going to be stealing ideas. But do share what your business is. One of my clients has just found his purpose. He's just come out of the army, and he's going to be working with soldiers. You know, he's going to help them move from army to civilian life. And he got up yesterday. I run a speakers club as well. And he got up, never done a pitch before, did an elevator pitch, had no idea what he was going to say. By the end of the night, had 6 cards, 6 people wanting to help him out. And he didn't even have a good pitch, but he got up there and told people about it.
Yeah. You see, that's all about taking that big bite and then working out how to chew.
Excuse me.
We're going to take a very quick break so that Elliot can get a glass of water, and we'll be seeing you on the other side. Welcome back. Okay, what we're going to look at here is it's your right to be wrong. Elliot.
Yes. So, It's Your Right to Be Wrong, I'm really excited about again. So it's the first book I wrote, and it's also a seminar that we're doing in May. And what it really focuses on, I mean, when I was growing and becoming a coach and stuff, and I've obviously been interested in people all my life, because I look at biographies and there's like Michael Jordan, Nuria, Ian Wright, all these people that against adversity had managed to make it. And I started to look at, well, what's the psychology around? What do people have in common? And I realized that people who are massively successful don't fear the mistake. They embrace it. While those who are unsuccessful are too scared of getting it wrong. They're too scared to go for it. And so I just decided to, I spent a year researching this. I interviewed basically entrepreneurs week in, week out. I had a radio show and I used to interview entrepreneurs, successful and unsuccessful. And then I compiled this into, it's not a very big book, it's a little small book. It's called It's Your Right to Be Wrong. And people really tend to love it because A, It's Your Right to Be Wrong does what it's called a cognitive jump. It goes, oh, what? And then people really like that. It is my right to be wrong. And it's just, it's very simply written. You know, there's no technical jargon, and it's written very much from my heart. So it comes a lot of passion there, and there's a lot of get over it, and there's a lot of stop making excuses in there. But what I do look at a lot of also is sort of like rejection is never personal and how to deal with that. I talk about when I went on Britain's Got Talent and got booed by 4,000 people. You know, I talk about my, you know.
I can't imagine.
I know. I talk about sort of my dad a little bit more and my relationships. But the key things I look at there is what's the psychology behind making a mistake. And really comes down to we associate pain, judgment and punishment to mistakes. And I go into that a lot in the book, and it's just all broken down. There's some steps you can do, there's some goal settings. I talk more about values, moving towards and moving away. So my whole not wanting to be like my dad is a moving away action, it's a moving away value. I talk about moving towards, which is about heading towards your pleasure and your goals. And it's a really good book, and it gets some really nice, I get a lot of nice feedback when I email it to people, when I send it to people, when people have bought it. It's because it's very simple, it's plain and it's powerful. You know, it doesn't fluff up, it's not hiding behind anything, I'm not pretending to be an Oxford dictionary. And that's what people really, really like. And I'm even more excited about the seminar we're doing in May.
Tell us a bit more about the seminar.
So May is bringing the book to life. So It's Your Right to Be Wrong, the seminar. It's taking the whole concept and dissolving what are our charges around making a mistake. So if you think about making a mistake, you've got the humiliation of getting it wrong, you've got the guilt of getting it wrong, you've got the pain of getting it wrong. And what we really do is we dissolve that whole charge around the psychology, that getting it wrong is good, it means you take action, it's a good thing. I'm going to say this now, that doesn't give people the right to go out and hurt people. Oh, it's my right to be wrong, and no, that's not what we're talking about.
That didn't actually come into my head, but anyway.
I know, but you'll be surprised, right? Because people go, oh, you know, I punched him in the face. Oops, it's my right to be wrong. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about positive, affirmative, empowering action. All right? So the seminar, each layer is designed to strip away, and each process, there's tools, there's technique, and I reveal my unique formula, what's called the pain matrix, but also the flip to that is how to stay on target, how to dissolve the notion around it's your right to be wrong, how to move forward. And it's just a really powerful day. It's experiential. You sit there, you do and you do and you do. That by the end of the day, any charge, guilt, fear, pain around it is dissolved, and you leave the day light, fresh, with action steps, tangible action steps to take you to the next level. It really is truly a very powerful day. I'm so excited to be doing it again, because we didn't do it last year. We did it a year before. We did 3 of them, and now we're doing it again this year, and it's bigger, it's better, it's deeper. It's just, I'm so excited.
Wow, that sounds totally awesome. So how do people actually get in touch with you to book onto this event?
Okay, so the website will be up very shortly. So by the time this video goes up, it will be. So you can go to itsyourrighttobewrong.com.
Okay, itsyourrighttobewrong.com.
Yeah.
And how will people get your book? Because we do have a global audience here, so there may be people around the world that's unable to fly out to London for your event in May. How do they get hold of a copy of your book?
I'm going to do a little thing here. So whoever emails me direct and puts Samantha Sutherland interview in the title, I will email them a free PDF copy of it. How's that? So,
wow.
Yeah, there you go.
I wasn't expecting that.
There you go. So there's a little present for you and for your for the readers. So whoever emails me, you can send it to, if you send it to the info one, so info@thecoachwithahat.com, and you put Samantha Sutherland interview, we will email it to you. We won't put you in any newsletter list, we'll just email you the book. How's that? Is that fair? So that's how you can get a hold of it. If you want a hard copy, what I will do though is we need to refresh some of our links. Is we'll put the links on both websites so you can purchase a copy and you can go that way. Okay. It is on Amazon, but you literally have to put in "It's Your Right to Be Wrong" for it to come up.
Okay, so so you can log on to Amazon and get it, buy it, or you could send the email and put Samantha Sutherland TV interview, and you'll get a PDF copy for free. That's totally awesome.
There you go.
And it is a good book, so I'd recommend you actually go ahead and get yourself a copy. Okay, so we're going to go for a break, and after the break we're going to go through 3 types of people, one of which may be you or somebody that you know, and we're actually going to do a little bit of a workshop, very small workshop, but we're just going to go through a couple of things for you. Okay, so look forward to seeing you on the other side. Welcome back. Okay, we're going to do a very interesting thing with Elliot right now, and we're going to look at 3 types of people that may be watching the show. Okay, just for an example, and I'd like Elliot to give you some advice. So the first type of person that I'd like to present to you, Elliot, is somebody that has left education quite recently, so maybe it's school, college or university, and had been looking for paid employment but have been unsuccessful. And right now you're thinking to yourself, I've got skills, I've got passions, I've definitely got something that I can turn into a business, but there's something stopping you from actually taking that step. So Elliot, what would you say to this person?
Great. Several things I would say. So number 1 is accumulate everything you've gained from university or the education you've come from, and start to see how you can apply that to your business. All right, what is your business and how can you use what? Now it could be that you might have done, I'm a dentist nurse or something, and actually I want to do flowers for a living. Great, well that's okay. The biggest thing that people have to overcome is the judgment surrounding going for your business, and you know, a lot of times it's the pressure from our parents and our friends around us. So a few things we need to look at that is truly follow what you want to do, because it's your life and everybody's living their life. Now, people will project. So once again, go back to what we spoke about at the beginning. Research, apply, and take action. Let go of this notion, because you can either live your life following your passion and doing what's right for you, or you can live a life miserable following what other people want for you. So it's really up to you. My biggest advice was put a plan together and get it into the action. Get out there, learn the lessons, and do it. It doesn't mean you have to raise millions of pounds. You can do it without raising millions of pounds, but get out there, get the business, or team up with someone who's got something similar to you that you can add value to each other, who's already doing it. Maybe it is about, you do want to run a business, let's say as a florist, right? I don't know, I'm just putting it out there. But you don't really have the experience right now. What you're scared of is getting it wrong. Well, why don't you work for a little period with someone who is doing it, and then you can branch out and learn for yourself. Get mentored, get a coach. Who are the people out there actively doing it that can educate you, and then you can go off and build your business. That's what I would say to someone, because you're already in a mindset of learning, because you come from education.
Yeah.
So utilize that skill of being taught and then use that to build your business. Approach people. A lot of people love to share. You'll be surprised. Love to share their knowledge. One of my first mentors, I walked up to him. He went from 2 million down to making 200 million. And I just said, what will it take for you to mentor me? And then we got a conversation. He mentored me for over a year. We're still really good friends. People love to help. And it wasn't in the same industry either. So that's what I suggest to do. Do the research. Who's doing what you're doing that you could either partner up with, learn from, or go for it. There's no magic pill. There's no secret. Hard work and action.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is you living your own life. And as Elliot said, I'm just backing it up here, you're probably surrounded by a lot of well-meaning people that are looking out for your best interest. However, they're looking at the old model of go to school, get an education, and you can then go and get a good job. The market has changed now. Okay, so at the time of filming, we have the highest level of unemployment for young people ever. So you've got skills and passions and hobbies that you can turn into an at-home business. Don't forget to check out the video series At Home Jobs on the website, because there are 27 at-home businesses that I've actually talked through on a video for you. So one of those could be of interest to you, but it will also get your mind ticking. So basically what we're saying is go out there and do your own thing, because when it comes to the end of the day, you don't want to be there thinking to yourself, I wonder what my life would have been like if only I had done. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to move on to another person. Now, the type of person that I'd like to present to you, Elliot, is somebody that is in employment. So we're looking at somebody that is currently employed. However, they're not happy where they're working. They're probably not appreciated at the place of employ or by their employers. And yeah, the money's good, but there's no satisfaction. And you've stumbled across Samantha Sutherland TV. And you're wondering to yourself, I could probably take all this experience that I have and set up a business. So there's something stopping you. You can't put your finger on it, but there is something stopping you from actually making that step. So I'd like Elliot to actually talk to you right now about that.
Okay, I'm going to put my former employee hat on. There we go. So let's swap that round. So absolutely, and a lot of people in that predicament, because when you're in a job you have perceived security, and even these days it's perceived security, because very quickly these days a lot of people are being made redundant. The biggest thing that's stopping you, I will tell you now, is fear of getting it wrong. It's the fear of the mistake. Now, once again, I say this time and time again, you can turn up every day and feel miserable and make someone else wealthy and have that perceived security, or you can follow your own dreams, your own passions, and do what you want to do. Practically, once again, excuse me, let's look at the steps. What are the skills you've gained from working? You must know a lot. You probably underestimate how much your own knowledge is and how much your vision is and what you can see into things. I'm sure you understand systems, processes and procedures, because otherwise you wouldn't be in the job. If you didn't, you'd be out. So how can you utilize that, translate that into the business you want to do? When I was shifting from full-time employment to running my own business, I went and negotiated with the company to get a subcontractor status, which meant I actually worked 3 days and not 5 days. I still had some income. Of course, I took a pay cut to follow my passion, follow my dream, but I still had that security. So don't be afraid to talk to your employers about this, because actually a lot of decent employers want to see you do well, and they'd rather keep you for the time they can, for maybe smaller periods of time, than completely lose you. That's what I did, and it worked for me for over a year, and then I decided to bite the bullet and go for it, and then that's what happened with me. There's always a solution. What is it for you? What are the skills you've gained that you can translate? Who can you talk to make it happen, including your employers? And also, who can you connect with? Once again, I'll go back to connections. The people that are doing it, they've done it, that can talk you through it. And how did they do it, and what were the challenges? Speak to people that have done it. Yes, okay. That's really, really important.
Fantastic. I hope that was helpful. Okay, so we're going to look at another person. And the person that we're going to look at right now is somebody that has been faithfully working for a company maybe for 20 years, 30 years even, and you've been made redundant. Okay, so you now have no job. You're probably somebody that has been looking for another job over the course of the last 9 months plus, okay, but you're finding that you're unsuccessful. So you're finding that you're being rejected on the amount of experience that you've got. You could have too much experience, some people may think, or it could be an age thing. They won't admit that because it's illegal. But there are many reasons as to why, number one, you're probably not even getting an interview, and number two, when you do get the interviews, that you're not securing a paid job. So you've stumbled across Samantha Sutherland TV, and you're wondering to yourself, is it possible that after all these years that I could start a little business for myself? Because I understand that you're probably institutionalized in a sense to believe that the only way that you can actually go out and make money for yourself is to work for a company. So I'd like Elliot to talk to you about this.
Okay, great. Let me change my hat. Here we go. Redundancy hat. Fantastic. Redundancy is a great opportunity. And I know it's not always the most painless process, but most people that make redundant, that pursue a business, actually succeed. A, because they know they don't have a choice, and B, because they finally do what they've always dreamt about doing. So when you've been made redundant and you're pursuing the job path, there's clearly a reason why you're not getting it, and that's nothing to do with you, it's to do with them. So rejection is never personal. Now, if you've been in a job for 25 years, I guarantee you are sitting on a wealth of knowledge. Yes? Can you make them into products? Can you write a book? It doesn't have to be a Harry Potter bestseller, but within your industry, can you then use your 25 years of experience to turn that into information that people need? Coming up with your own TV show, whatever it might be, you can productize your knowledge and then cash in on that. Can you advise people? Can you go into consultancy? So you're working for yourself, but you're taking people and then you're giving them your experience, because you're sitting on a golden goose, right? That's a fact, I guarantee. Once again, I told you about my client before. She was an ex-tax inspector. For years and years and years, all she knew was employment. Suddenly, redundant, out, cold, got to kick up the bum, you're out the door. 1 year later, she is thriving as a business owner, as a woman. Now, the first thing I would advise, and here's what I work with her a lot about, is stop making yourself small. Don't make yourself small. Just because you're a bit older, oh, little me, small me, poor me, no, that's irrelevant. Most millionaires don't hit their millionaires till they're 60, although we do have the most under 25 billionaires these days as well. So that will just show you in a recession time, people are thriving. What is the knowledge you're sitting on that you can share, monetize? Books, products, online, radio shows. Where can you position yourself as an expert? And I want to dispel a myth. Can I dispel a myth?
Of course.
Right. Being an expert isn't going to Oxford and Cambridge and getting a doctorate and all this. An expert is being 2 steps ahead of everyone else. Now, with 25 years of knowledge or 30 years of knowledge, right? How many steps ahead of you the most people? And it's just about positioning yourself that way. That's what I would suggest you do. Go back to your key knowledge, the stuff you've accumulated. You've seen what doesn't work. You've seen what does work. You see what could work. Position yourself in that way. Become an advisor to that community, to that industry. Position yourself as an expert. As I said, all you need to be is 2 steps ahead. Redundancy, it's a fantastic opportunity. Now go for it.
Okay, so if you're a bit worried, a bit scared, fearful of making this move, and I'm talking to everybody right now, what is the one thing that you would tell everybody if, you know, it's like, oh, you know, and they just keep, it's like they really want to do it, but there's just that little, there's something, I don't know what it is because we're talking to you via, you know, this screen. So if there was a, you know, a big thing in your experience, you probably would know, what would be the big hurdle that people would need to overcome mindset wise?
Well, here's the thing. It's never as big out there as it is in here, right? We have an amazing ability to magnify things. Now, if you're making yourself small, the challenge will appear big, right? However, if you're in line and you understand that this is your way out, right? This is your way to freedom, then you will do it. So stop making yourself small. Number one, don't make yourself smaller than the business. Don't make yourself smaller than the people around you. Be in line. Be like, hey, this is my key. This is my key to unlock my freedom. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. As long as you're making yourself big in the face of adversity, challenge, business, then you'll be fine. It's never as big in here.
I hope that helps. Okay. So we're about to wrap up the show, and I don't know if you've got a message that you'd like to send out to the Samantha Sutherland TV audience, apart from the fact that you can log onto his website and get It's Your Right to Be Wrong, and also, of course, the event that's coming up very soon. But what message would you like to give out to the Samantha Sutherland TV audience? My biggest
message, what I say to when I do my talks and everything, is number one, you know, live to your values. Be true to who you are, not the perception of what you're expected by other people. Be true to your values. Build your business around your values and go for it. You know, be an amazing business person, or be an amazing failure. But at least knowing you've gone for it, you've done it, and you know what? The learnings you will get will be far more than you'll ever get from being in a job or living through other people's expectations. Live your life the way you want to live it, how you want to live it, because there's only one life that you own, and that's yours. And so I can strongly suggest, myself, Elliot K, the coach with the hat, is live your life to full, embrace challenge, and welcome reward.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much, Elliot.
Thank you.
And it's been my pleasure to have you on my show today.
It's been my honour. Thank you very much.
So, could you please remind people of your websites?
Sure. So, you've got itsyourrighttoberong.com, and that's about the event which follows the book. And also remember, if you email me, info@thecoachwiththehat.com, and put Samantha Sutherland TV interview, we will email you a free PDF copy of it. And of course you can go to thecoachwiththehat.com, and that's my sort of this brand website. You know, got any questions, anything, drop me a line. We're here to support.
Fabulous. And what about on your social media? Can people connect with you there?
Of course, of course.
Could you let people know about your Facebook, Twitter,
sure,
etc.?
So at Facebook, there's a fan page called The Coach with a Hat. And then on Twitter, there's Coach with Hat. So the Twitter is Coach with Hat. Just at me, say something, you know, Samantha Sutherland TV. Saw it, wanted to ask you a question. Yeah, those are the best channels to go through. You know, we're always on social media because we're always conversing with people. So I'll just remind you, fan page on Facebook is The Coach with the Hat, and Twitter is Coach with Hat.
Ah, fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with a lot to think about now.
And some home play. Don't forget the home play from before.
Oh yes, the home play. Let's have a reminder of the home play.
Okay, so you've got the what are the jobs you've had, what are the skills you've gained, and what you can, how can you apply them to your business, and that's one I remember.
Okay, but it's on the film, so you have to make notes. But do take into consideration, and you know, take some time and really think about what is holding you back, if anything at all? Because to be fair, you know, I had my own issues, I guess. Well, not issues, but for 12 years leading up to me getting the sack, in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to start a business. It was the bare fact that I got the sack on my birthday that was what propelled me to start my business. So what could have been going on in the past? I don't know. Maybe I had a little fear there myself. Who knows? But it took for me to get the boot on my birthday to make that decision, and I've never looked back since. And it was really, for me personally, all about not ever working for a company again. Okay? So, thank you so much for being on the show and for watching this series. And it's goodbye from Elliot.
Bye.
And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.